no, what happened earlier with that was I was live the whole time. Weird. Because it shows me as live for 43 minutes, and then I heard you calling on the screen. And then I stopped the thing because I thought it wasn't broadcasting. everybody. Welcome back to the Blind Press YouTube channel. I apologize for the way my voice is sounding. I'm still having some some trouble with my asthma and allergies or whatever the hell this is. But we're here again. I hope you guys are having a good... It's Wednesday. That's right. Wednesday night. Jesus. Oh, excuse me. Oh my goodness. Sorry about that. So, yeah, we've got a lot of interesting shit going on here in our lovely lineup of videos. Hello, Spittle Buggies. No worries, Spittle. Thank you for watching on replay. Yeah, like I said, I hope you guys are having a good Wednesday. It is almost fall, which, boo, I don't like fall or winter, but oh well. And apparently we've also, we've got a lot of stupidity. We just have a lot of stupidity going on. I'm here to show it to you all today. So, without further ado, we're going to start with where are we? We're going to start with this little short right here. Right here.
Because I have not played a Kirby game in so long that maybe this would actually be something really good for variety on my streams. At the very same time that I say that, Kirby games are usually incredibly easy.
Okay, so he's gonna play Kirby. I have heard of Kirby, but I am not familiar with the mechanics of Kirby. I know it's an older game, I know that it was like an arcade game, and I think it was on the Atari, but I'm not familiar with how Kirby is played. So this is not a game that I can comment on whether it's easy or hard or whatever.
They have barely any challenge to them, okay? So it's more like, oh, if I play this as like a late night chill stream, maybe some people would like it, but I really don't think this is going to be anything that's going to be mainstream material, but it's still maybe, okay?
Uh-oh. Something's gonna happen that's gonna make him angry.
This is terrible. I can't. This is garbage. It's literally, dude. It's literally Dark Souls. And now that's it. Instant death. I give up. Fuck this. I'm done. That's it for Kirby. I'm not playing fucking Dark Souls when I'm playing Kirby.
He just rage quit. Fucking. That's funny. What is that? A Nintendo game? Like, what platform is Kirby even on right now? This is how much I don't know about Kirby, but it's really funny.
The fucking game is full of shit. I'm not going to waste my time with that. That actually genuinely 100% pisses me the fuck off. I'm intrigued because I have not played a Kirby game.
That's that's our first level of stupid. That's our first level of stupid, guys. And now, we're gonna move on to a darker layer of stupid. A much darker layer of stupid. Where we're gonna find out, we looked at this, we started looking at this earlier today, but Driving Ape came and set it up so you guys could actually see it. This is the leaked letter that destroyed Ashton Kutcher's credibility. And here we go. This is from Patrick CC.
19-year-old Ashton Kutcher walked on the set of That 70s Show as Kelso, and the world fell in love with him. He was a tall, handsome, gullible goofball who stole the hearts of women and teens around the world.
I never got it. I never ever got it. Everyone's like, oh my god, Ashton Kutcher. And I'm like, he's really annoying and stupid. I was always one of the, everyone's, but you just don't understand because you can't see him. And I'm like, okay, I can hear him. And he sounds really dumb and just like I used to say that Ashton Kutcher was the poster child for male vapidity. That's what I said.
What they
Even
didn't
as
know is that there is a
young
whole different
child.
side of the actor that Hollywood rarely sees, and over the years, he would slowly expose who he truly is. Debuting in August 1998, That 70s Show followed the Foreman family, mainly through the eyes of their son
I can't
Eric
believe it
and
was
his group of
98.
teenage friends, pretty boy Michael Kelso, stoner Stephen Hyde, and foreign exchange student Fez, along with Foreman's neighbor Donna Pinciotti, and snobby rich girl Jackie Burkhart. Although a comedy, the show addressed issues universal to teens across all decades, including relationship drama, problems with school, and underage drinking and substance abuse. Despite the near constant bickering and sarcastic jokes, each friend deeply cared for one another. Two people that especially cared for each other were Jackie and Kelso, who were boyfriend and girlfriend on the show.
Oh, that was the stupidest relationship ever. Jackie was so horrible to Kelso and just and Kelso was equally horrible to Jackie, and I never liked either character.
And in season 1, episode 5, they kissed in front of 10 million viewers. At the time,
crazy.
Ashton was 19 and Mila Kunis was just 14 years old.
She was 14 when we started the show. I was like 19, right?
Right.
And they're like, okay, you guys are going to be making out in this scene. And I'm like thinking like, wait, this is like slightly
I was gonna
illegal,
say that's
right?
probably your first kiss ever, right?
It was my first kiss. Why don't someone bet you made with Danny about our first kiss?
No, it wasn't the first kiss.
No,
This was
go
like a
ahead,
second or
Ashton.
third kiss.
It was the first. It was like the first week.
No,
Ew. Okay, did you, let's go back and put that just so you
out
can
in
hear
the
it.
scene. And I'm like thinking like, wait,
I
this
never
is like
kissed a guy.
slightly
I was
illegal,
gonna say that's
right?
probably your first kiss ever, right?
It was my first kiss. Why don't someone bet you made with Danny about our first kiss?
Why don't you tell about the bet you made with Danny about our first kiss? Danny being Danny Masterson, right? The guy who's just been convicted of rape.
No, it wasn't the first kiss. This
No,
was
go
like a
ahead,
second or
Ashton.
third kiss.
It was the first. It was like the first week.
No, it was not the first week.
Whatever. Let me tell you what happened.
No, let me tell you what happened.
No. Okay, so I've never kissed a guy. So I was so. I mean, you know, Ash was attractive, and I was a 14-year-old little girl, and I was extremely scared for my life.
Sure.
Oh my god, this is so gross. He's 19, she's 14, she's admitting she's scared.
And he was very nice about it. He was like,
But she also sounds happy. Like it's funny. Like that's sad. Like she sounds like, oh yeah, this is perfectly normal. Ha ha ha. I was scared.
oh, don't worry. So I was like, okay. Then Danny goes and goes, dude, I'll give you $10 if you French kiss her. What would you stick your tongue in my mouth or some
What? No.
for $10?
You're making it sound like it was like really. Okay, Dan, we had a little side bet, don't we?
In multiple interviews,
That's. I love how he's like, you're making it sound really bad. Well, it does sound really bad.
throughout her
dude.
career, Mila states that she was scared, as most of us were, for her first kiss. 25 years ago, people thought this was adorable. Today, they are pointing out how Mila was groomed and unfairly forced to do this. To make things even worse, Danny Masterson betting Ashton to put his tongue in her mouth for $20 made them both seem extremely creepy.
You think? Not to mention the fact that there's no like that. None of that is legal, right? Like it's 14 is not the age of consent.
But it didn't stop there. In Mila's words, she was forced to kiss every man on the show.
I'm worried about you on the show because you keep
'Cause I'm a
boy
whore?
hop. What?
Because I'm the whore in the show?
I think so.
I know. It's upsetting to my parents as well.
Off camera, I know you're such a nice lady.
Thank
You're
you.
what? You're all of 19.
Yes.
Yeah. And you're in the show though. You're just.
I'm
bed
the
hop.
one who's kissed every single guy in the show except for Topher.
That's so.
That's the fact that immediately she goes to I'm the whore. Like that's really sad. Like I kind of as much as we're gonna find out later on about this, like I feel very kind of bad for young Mila Kunis. She's all bubbly about it, but yeah, it's nasty. I know, because like she's bubbly about it because it seems like she's
So wrong,
just
isn't
used
Yeah,
to it.
it is.
Yeah.
It's quite wrong. Yeah.
And what do the writers? They just throw it. They don't care.
No, they just, I don't know what they're thinking. I have no choice but
You know,
to just kiss every man on the show.
I would.
We have all heard the horrifying stories of Hollywood. If this is what she was forced to do on
Then
screen,
why was
what
she,
happened off
like, and she sounds so resigned to it. That's sad. That's really sad.
screen? The first season of That 70s Show was a tremendous success, producing 25 episodes and averaging 11.7 million viewers. While some praised
No,
Ashton
she
for his
doesn't at all,
newfound fame,
Brandon.
others
You're right. She has no idea what normal is. She doesn't have that baseline.
resented him, claiming that he was mediocre and coasting off his natural good looks. But nobody resented him more than his twin brother, Michael. There was a moment where I viewed him as receiving more attention than I was, and that kind of drove me down to a place where I was jealous. Most people don't know about Ashton's twin brother, and after he watched Michael flatline on a hospital bed, his whole world flipped upside down.
I had no idea that Ashton had a twin brother, quite honestly. I did pre-watch this video a couple days back with Pinkalo, and until that day, I had no idea that Ashton Kutcher had a twin brother.
But first, a word from our sponsor, Rocket Money. Rocket Money is an all-in-one finance platform that helps you save more and spend less.
Skipping.
And didn't know at that time the lack of... Were immediately worried, because Michael only weighed 4 pounds.
Oh,
Diane
shit.
didn't know at that time the lack of oxygen and complications with delivery would set her son up for a lifetime of complications. Michael was eventually diagnosed with a mild case of cerebral palsy, which affects his right side and vision. Cerebral palsy is a group of disorders that affect a person's ability
I liked the show as well, but I had trouble with Jackie and Michael. And this does put a gross spin on it. And Spittlebuggy's Third Rock was great. I love
to move and maintain balance and posture. CP is the most common motor disability in children. It is caused
Yep.
by abnormal brain development or damage to the developing brain, affecting a person's ability to control their muscles. The Kutcher family didn't realize how bad Michael's condition really was. Nobody in our
That's a
family,
shame.
nobody in our world was ever pointing out a difference between us. It just kind of felt like there's things that he's good at and there's things that I'm good at. Unfortunately for Michael, the kids at school were sure to let him know he was obviously different.
Yeah, because kids suck. They really, really, really suck. Like, even if you know how disabled you are, but you're still trying to just adapt and everything, the other kids are like, nope, you're broken. Fuck you, you're broken. They don't actually say that, but that's the implication.
Bullies would point out Michael's weak eyesight, hearing loss, and speech impediment. Ashton became Michael's protector. He wasn't going to let anyone bully his
Swifty!
brother. In a lot of the times where we were playing soccer, and where maybe other kids would exclude me, he would always make sure that I was included. Michael even said that Ashton
And
went so far as to
goodbye.
only accept a sleepover invitation if his twin brother was invited too. Ashton felt guilty that his brother was suffering from this illness while he was totally
That was
normal.
weird.
But in the 8th
Hello
grade,
and
things
goodbye,
took a turn for
okay?
the
Hello
worse.
and
Michael
goodbye.
developed flu-like symptoms, and doctors discovered that he had contracted viral myocarditis,
Oh, fuck. So his heart, like, somehow caught a...
resulting in an enlarged heart that needed a transplant. Michael was only given 3 or 4 weeks to live. Ashton stayed right by Michael's bedside the entire time, until one day, he flatlined. Ashton contemplated ending his own life since his heart would be a perfect match for his twin.
God damn. It was straight out of a House episode. Do you remember the episode with the brothers that one of them had the autoimmune disease and the other one got sick? And the parents had been using him as like an organ bank and shit like that.
He asked his parents to sacrifice him for Michael. Fortunately, Michael found a donor within 24 hours from an accident victim in another state and successfully received a heart transplant, ultimately saving his life. But his complications didn't end there. The family relocated to Homestead,
That
Iowa,
sucks.
where Ashton attended Clear Creek Amana High School. Unfortunately, Michael later developed a blood clot and required open heart surgery. Ashton quickly
Oh,
realized
fuck.
he couldn't help his brother. He couldn't handle any more heartache and did whatever he could to distract himself. This is where he found his passion for acting in school plays, but he wasn't able to stay focused, which led to a pattern of delinquency.
That's sad. Like, see, this is partially like I don't condemn Ashton Kutcher all the way, right? he did have some really messed up things happening to him, but at the same time, it's just
Ashton was convicted
some
of
of the
third-degree
stuff we'll hear is
burglary and
just,
sentenced to
ugh.
3 years of probation and 180 hours of community service after trying to break into his high school after hours. When he went to the University of Iowa, he was kicked out of his apartment for being too noisy and wild. He was partying
God damn. If you're too noisy and wild in a university apartment building,
every night and often woke up many mornings not
That's
knowing
pretty
what he had
bad.
done the night before. However, it was on one of these drunken nights that he realized he had a gift. At the Airliner Bar in Iowa City, Iowa, a woman approached Ashton and asked if he had ever considered modeling. Ashton had nothing to lose, so he entered the Fresh Faces of Iowa modeling competition.
and wasn't Michael Kelso also a model in the show?
To his surprise, he placed first and found an opportunity to be successful outside of traditional education. He traveled to New York City and participated in the International Modeling and Talent Association convention, losing to Josh Duhamel. Despite losing, Ashton garnered attention from several modeling agencies. Standing at 6'2", he soon landed a modeling contract with Next Modeling Agency.
He's tall. I didn't realize how tall he was. Wow.
He immediately dropped out of school and pursued this full-time, becoming the face of Calvin Klein and a skateboarding company called Zoo York. But modeling was not his passion. He knew he was more than just a pretty face. After hearing about an audition for a comedy sitcom in LA, Ashton decided to take his chances. He auditioned for 2 roles on 2 different shows and landed them both. The first was a 1-hour TV drama about cowboy surfers.
What the fuck? Cowboy surfers. That doesn't sound
Ashton
like
was
a good,
desperate to make his dreams a reality, but he denied the role because it didn't feel right. That series became Wind on Water, a low-budget adventure canceled after 6 episodes.
Wind on Water. That sounds really boring. And really stupid.
The second role he landed was Michael Kelso on That 70s Show, which made him a superstar. Now, most people know Ashton to be kind of a one-dimensional actor. He landed a couple of minor supporting roles in romantic comedies early on, Coming Soon and Down to You, as well as the action crime thriller Reindeer Games. But he made his lead role debut as Jesse
He
in
was
Dude
in
Where's
Reindeer Games? Where?
My Car,
Huh.
a stoner comedy about 2 friends who wake up after a night of partying, unable to remember where they left their car. A stoner comedy about 2 friends who wake up after a night of
I
partying,
did not
unable
like
to
that-
remember where they
that
left
movie.
their car. Now, this film was bound to be successful for
boring.
Ashton, since it was written by That 70s Show screenwriter and script editor Philip Stark, and the main character Jesse was basically the same as Kelso.
Yeah.
Stark was familiar with
That's literally what I said. I was like, it's Kelso in a stoner movie. This is dumb.
Ashton's comedic timing and was able
Just
to
make it
construct
that
the
70s
screenplay
show
in a way
movie.
that displayed his strengths. Critics
don't,
hated the
please.
movie, saying it straight up wasn't funny. But
It
that
wasn't.
didn't matter. Dude Where's My Car was a box office success and grossed over $73 million worldwide on a $13 million budget. I also thought it was
God damn. That is pretty successful.
hilarious, but I was 8 years old when I watched it. It was during this new peak of fame for Ashton that he would find himself being a witness to a murder, which changed the course of his life forever. The Hollywood Ripper was described as a serial
Holy
sexual
shit.
thrill killer who took the lives of multiple women throughout
The Hollywood
the
Ripper?
90s into the 2000s. One of those victims was Ashley Ellerin, who was a friend of Ashton's. On the night of February 21st, 2001, Ashton and Ashley had planned to go to the Grammys after party together. Around 8:24, he said he was running late. Around 8:30, witnesses said they heard screams from Ashley's house. Ashton said he arrived to her house much later, at 10:45 p.m. He knocked on the door, but heard nothing, thinking he was stood up, so he left without her.
Oh man. That is crazy. The Hollywood goddamn Ripper went for one of his friends. Holy
At 9 a.m.
shit.
the next day, Ashley was discovered by her
That is
roommate dead on the
crazy.
floor. She was
I've-
stabbed 47 times. He immediately
I don't know
contacted
whether
the
I
police
feel
the next
bad
day.
for him
He
or
was freaked
not.
out because he knew his fingerprints would be on the doorknob, but he was not a suspect in this case. However, 20 years later, many people are questioning Ashton's involvement. In an Instagram story posted by Chrissy Bixler, the girlfriend of his co-star Danny Masterson, she wrote, "Did you forget I was there? You were on speakerphone the night you called Danny on February 21st, 2001, which was the night of the murder. I heard everything. I heard the plan. In my opinion, you're just as sick as your mentor."
Oh fuck. What is that in reference to? Interesting. I wonder what that's in reference
However, this
to.
all
Holy
happened in
crap.
2001
That-
and went relatively unnoticed
I
until
wonder if
recently.
that's ever gonna
In 2003,
get,
Ashton
uncovered.
co-starred with Brittany Murphy in Just Married, where he discovered that romantic comedies are where he thrives. The two young actors dated briefly after filming Wrapped, and while it was a short-lived romance, their natural chemistry helped the movie become a commercial success, grossing over $100 million worldwide. But critics would not let up
Meh.
on Ashton. He was nominated for Worst Actor for all three of his 2003 films at the 24th Golden Raspberry Awards.
God damn. That has to be a blow to the ego. Like, it's like all of my movies I'm being nominated for Razzies. Holy shit.
He did step outside his comfort zone with The Butterfly Effect, a science fiction thriller where Evan Treborn experiences blackouts and can travel back in time to inhabit his younger self with his adult mind, trying to make small changes to reshape the future of his friends and family. This
I tried watching that movie with my mom because she was like, come watch it with me, I'm scared. Because, you know, a running leaf scares her. So I was sitting there watching it and I'm like, this is really dumb. And also, I keep waiting for him to go, burn! Or psych! Just...
This was a huge box office success, but again, critics destroyed it. It seemed like the only praise Ashton would get would be from young girls who thought he was a heartthrob.
Yeah.
People couldn't fathom why he kept getting casted for new films, and that's likely because he was producing them himself. He started his own production company called Catalyst in 2000 alongside Jason Goldberg. At age 22, the young entrepreneur knew he could make way more money producing than just being an actor.
You know, I will give him that. He's not wrong. If you figure out how to produce and you're good at it, you are going to make a lot more money than scratching as an
However,
actor.
during his next big TV venture, he almost destroyed his career. During the early 2000s, Catalyst and MTV developed a program called Harassment. The initial plan was to create a hidden camera show which would feature pranks on regular, everyday anonymous people. However, those plans were derailed in January 2002 following an incident that resulted in Ashton and MTV being sued for $10 million.
No.
James and Lori Ann Ryan took a holiday from their home in Washington, D.C. to Las Vegas, booking their stay at the Hard Rock Hotel. The couple entered their Las Vegas room and discovered what appeared to be a dead human body covered and surrounded by blood.
Okay, I don't think I would appreciate that type of prank either. As much into gore and horror as I am, I really don't think that I would appreciate that. And I just found a rather large bruise.
Evidently
on
the
my leg,
victim
and
of
I
a
have no
homicide.
idea where it
Two
came
actors
from.
posing as
The
security
fun of
guards
being
blocked their
blind.
exit, and another dressed as a paramedic went in before Ashton popped out and told them it was all part of a guerrilla-style candid camera show. The incident was being filmed as part of the pilot episode for Harassment. Unfortunately, the couple, who just wanted to enjoy their vacation, were absolutely mortified and later sued MTV for $10 million.
You think? I'm just going on holiday, la 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 la. Oh my god, there's a dead body on the bed. Oh god, it's fake and there's a camera in my face.
The couple claimed invasion of privacy, infliction of emotional distress, and fraud, among other things. The crazy part is, this wasn't even the first time MTV made this mistake. 8 months earlier, a pair of teenage girls sued MTV after they were sprayed with human excrement for the show
Ew.
Dude, This Sucks.
What the fuck? This is why I don't like pranks or prank shows. I don't find them funny. I don't see what's funny about them. Like, at
MTV
all.
apologized and promised to never show the footage, but the lawsuit remained
But they
in
did.
litigation. Somehow Ashton dodged a bullet with this controversy, but MTV still trusted his vision for a prank show. They rebranded from Harassment to Punk'd and decided to prank celebrities instead of random people. Punk'd first aired in March 2003, and the first episode saw Ashton target singer Justin Timberlake and Malcolm in the Middle star Frankie Muniz.
And again, stupid show.
For Justin, he was led to believe he owed $900,000 in taxes when government agents appeared to confiscate his house and valuables. Time magazine named the prank as number 3 in their list of 32 epic moments in reality TV history. Punk'd wasn't the first prank show ever created, but it certainly was the most popular one of that time.
Yep.
The second season secured 7.4 million viewers, a 55% increase over season 1. It was the most watched show in its time period among viewers 12 to 34.
12 to 34, that's depressing. I can see the 12 part, but the 34, oh, that's heartbreaking.
The pranks were decent, but it was the never-ending list of A-list celebrities that made it so popular. The Rock, Tyra Banks, Kanye West, Serena Williams, Dirk Nowitzki, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Simon Cowell, Allen Iverson, Tony Hawk, Akon, Shaquille O'Neal, Triple H, Sean Paul, Neo, Rihanna, Zac Efron, and John Cena. Basically, everyone got punked. The
Why
hardest
do
part
they keep going after wrestlers?
about the show was getting celebrities to sign the paperwork, because they didn't want to be embarrassed in front of millions. We never aired a single episode that a celebrity didn't sign a waiver to say, it's okay to air this. Punked became a part of culture. In the early 2000s, people would often say, am I being punked right now?
I really did not like these TV shows. I prank shows and prank channels, now that they exist, now that they've taken over for the prank TV shows, I hate it.
While something weird or crazy was happening in their lives, and then they look around in all various corners to wait for Ashton Kutcher to pop out with a camera in their face laughing.
And that
There was
dumb
one
too.
clip of Punked that resurfaced recently of Ashton talking about pranking Hilary Duff, the Lizzie McGuire superstar who at the time was 15 years old.
Hilary Duff is in Lizzie McGuire. She also has an album out. She's going to be in a movie called Cheaper by the Dozen. And she's one of the girls that we're all waiting for to turn 18.
Ew, Ashton, you're at this point like 25, 26? That's not cool, dude.
Along with the Olsen twins.
Many people say this is just
Along
the way
with
people
the
joked in the
Olsens?
early
Ew.
2000s, but others claim this was actually Ashton's sick mindset.
Ashton was lucky to star in 2 extremely successful shows at once, but the first one was about to come crashing down.
That's
He was making
gross.
between $250,000 and $300,000 per episode of That 70s Show, adding up to as much as $8 million per season. Topher Grace left the show once the series concluded its 7th season. Fans felt that it wasn't the same without such a central character in the series. Ashton also
It really wasn't. When Eric went to Africa, it was just, and then when he left for good, it was bad.
left the show
I
to
didn't
explore
like
new
it.
opportunities as an actor and producer. Without Topher and Ashton, the show's last season only drew 6 million viewers, a 5 million viewer decline compared to the first season.
Oh,
From
wow.
here, the only time Ashton saw success is when he played the role of the dumb hot guy. From 2006 to 2014, he starred in 13 films,
So that's almost 2 films a year, I think.
but failed to have any kind of substantial impact outside of romantic comedies.
His first project after That 70s Show was about Robert Kennedy's assassination, titled Bobby.
Despite a star-studded
think I
cast,
remember
the
that
actors
movie.
seemed more like very special guest stars than real 1968 vintage Americans.
a biopic about the assassination of Robert Kennedy Jr., starring...
Bobby was just average and struggled to achieve box office success. Despite prominent roles in The Guardian, Open Season, What Happens in Vegas, these films just added to Ashton's list of below-average films that did well at the box office. Spread,
Yeah, no.
Personal Effects, and Brothers Justice was a
You
three-peat
never say the inside part out loud in public.
run of low-budget indie films that all received bad reviews and no commercial success. Following a forgettable role in Valentine's Day, Ashton found himself opposite Katherine Heigl in the 2010 action comedy Killers. It received negative
Never
reviews
heard
from
of
critics and only grossed $98 million against a $75 million budget.
Ouch. Ouch. 23 million. That's bad. Also, never heard of that movie.
And with his film career on the ropes, he accepted yet another rom-com. No Strings Attached, with Natalie Portman. The film was adored by fans and grossed over $149 million worldwide. But what fans adored even more was Hollywood's newest power couple, Mila Kunis and Ashton Kutcher. Ashton ended his marriage with his then-wife, Demi Moore. Ashton and Demi met in 2003 when Ashton was 25 years old and Demi was 40.
Yeah, and he did her dirty. Like, he was like, yeah, sorry. I'm gonna go back to people my own age.
Their relationship quickly made headlines
Or
as an
younger.
unexpected couple with their 15-year age gap. Demi already had 3 daughters from a previous marriage to actor Bruce Willis. Following
Yep.
months of negative reports about Ashton's alleged infidelity, Ashton and Demi both decided it was time for a divorce. However, still to this day, he remains a father figure to her children. I make a conscious effort to stay
How can anybody that is the same age as you be a father figure to you? I don't understand
in
that.
touch with the girls. I love them, and I'm never going to stop loving them, right? I'm respecting them and honoring them and rooting for them to be successful in whatever they're pursuing. A lot of men, especially A-list celebrities, would not keep in touch with their ex-stepchildren after a divorce. But once he reunited with Mila Kunis, that 70s show fans' dreams came true. Sometimes life imitates art.
Michael, Kelso, and Jackie are actually together in real life. I remember those headlines. Oh.
On top of that, Ashton made a winning return to television in 2011, replacing Charlie Sheen on 2.5 Men after Sheen's antics got him booted off the hit sitcom.
And I tried watching with Ashton on there, and it wasn't funny. It just wasn't funny.
Kutcher fit in as yet again the idiotic, handsome womanizer, but ratings rapidly declined until it was ultimately cancelled. It didn't really matter though, because Ashton was the highest paid actor on television for 4 years, according to Forbes, making upwards of $700,000 per episode. He specialized in acting like an idiot, but in real life, he is far from it, because his hundreds of millions in net worth is due to him being an early investor in some of the largest corporations today. Airbnb, Pinterest, Shazam, Skype, Spotify, Warby Parker, and Uber all received some investment money from the actor.
Interesting. So he's a canny investor. Okay.
One of his top executives at Catalyst, Sarah Ross, began introducing him to Silicon Valley elites during the early 2000s. I spent 90% of my time just listening, says Kutcher. Ashton used his celebrity status to break into Silicon Valley and begin investing before it was a cool thing to do. As you can imagine, he made a fortune. In 2010, Ashton teamed up with music executive Gary Osiri and investor Ron Burkle, founding A-Grade Investments. In 2016, Forbes noted that the group turned their $30 million fund into a cool $250 million.
God damn. So he may act like an idiot, but my light is off? Oh. Why would my light be off? Okay. Weird. Thank you, Spittle. No wonder nobody else. No wonder you guys are the only people here. There's no light. I wonder why the light got turned off. Okay.
In just a 6-year period. Throughout the 2010s, you would see him at tech conferences and on business news networks talking about money instead of movies. But as you learn more about what he does with his money, you realize he is not like your typical capitalist. Ashton spends a ton of his dollars and time to ending suffering around the world. Ashton made considerable efforts to raise money for Habitat for Humanity, Girls Educational and Mentoring Services, Boys and Girls Clubs of America, Raising Malawi, United Nations Children's Fund, St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital, Stand Up to Cancer, among others.
So he's very, very philanthropic, is what it sounds like. Aziz, lights!
In March of 2022, Ashton and Mila helped raise over $30 million for Ukrainians after Russia invaded their country. However, his most profound effort that you almost never hear about is his foundation to stop child sex trafficking.
Isn't Mila from Russia?
Thorn, Digital Defenders of Children. The nonprofit builds software given to law enforcement for free to identify victims of sex trafficking and the people participating in the sale and exploitation of children. Ashton has been devoted to this cause for over a decade, and his efforts through Thorn are making a difference.
Wait, so he's anti-sex trafficking, but he was making bets as an adult about making out with an underage co-star. Okay, sure, that makes sense.
The 2021 impact report from Thorn shows their software, Spotlight, identified 3,977 victims in 2021 and 24,366 during the lifetime of the software. Over 2,700 law enforcement agencies are now using the technology.
Oh! I have heard of those blind people, Brandon, where they're like, they don't know where the lights are because they don't need them. And then they try to have people over. Yeah. I do. I have
technology
heard of
provided
those
by
people.
Thorn. The work Thorn is doing helps protect children from their abusers and removes damaging content from the internet. Ashton is the co-founder and chairperson of Thorn. In 2017, Ashton testified on Capitol Hill about child sex trafficking.
I remember this clip. I heard it. I can't remember which streamer I was watching that was reacting to it.
The
but
things
I
he said in
remember.
this testimony are sickening, but they need to be heard so people can address the disgusting reality of what goes on in this world.
I've been on FBI raids where I've seen things that no
You've been
person
on
should
raids,
ever see.
have you? Why? Wait. Are you actually telling us that because you developed a software and you sit on the company of the software that they use, that they let you go on raids? Because I don't think that's how that works. I don't think you get a ride along on a raid just because you fund and provide some software. I really don't think that's how that works, Ashton.
I've seen video content of a child that's the same age as mine being by an American man that was a sex tourist in Cambodia. And this child was so conditioned by her environment that she thought she was engaging in play.
Ashton claims that it would typically take years for federal agents
Okay, I believe that he saw the video content, but I really don't believe that he was on raids.
to identify and capture a trafficker, but his software is able to do it in just 3 weeks, and in some cases, he has identified and rescued victims within just 3 days. He asked Congress for, of course, money to build more infrastructure around this, but also he wanted to create a
Why would
government
he need
initiative
more
to
money?
end
He's got hundreds of millions of dollars. Why does Congress need to give him money for more infrastructure?
human
That's
trafficking.
interesting.
However, we don't know if his testimony mobilized any government programs. We do know that he hasn't given up. In 2022, he raised more than $1 million for Thorn while running the New York City Marathon. And to this day, Thorn has a team of 100 employees using technology to defend children from sexual abuse. However, just recently, Ashton and Mila have said things that make us question everything we thought we knew about them. Danny Masterson, their co-star on That 70s Show, was accused, tried, and found guilty of R-wording 2 victims.
Yeah, and they couldn't get, I think there was a limitation statute on the third, or I think it was like his girlfriend or something, ex-girlfriend.
Masterson was accused in 2017 by 5 different women, claiming he assaulted them in the early 2000s. 3 of the 5 victims were Scientologists, a church that he has been a part of since he was a child. Masterson assured everyone that these claims were false,
Hashtag fuck Scientology.
and he was a victim of jealous women who feel empowered by the Me Too movement. However, the court did not see it that way. The trial began in October of 2022, and the testimonies were horrifying.
I wonder if, I did not know, I should have looked into this, but I wonder if this trial was ever
Multiple
public.
victims testified how brutal and forceful Masterson was. One of his victims was his longtime girlfriend, Chrissy Bixler. In May of 2023, Masterson was found guilty of R-wording 2 women in 2003. But in a strange turn of events,
I wonder if that's any relation to Denise Bixler.
Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis each sent the judge a letter asking for leniency in Masterson's sentencing, and Ashton
Now
and
let's
Mila
put that
Kunis
back up a
wording
little
2
bit.
women in 2003. But in a strange turn of events, Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis each sent the judge a letter asking for leniency in Masterson's sentencing, and
Now, one of these 2 people sits on the board of his own company to stop sex trafficking of children. And the other one, it would appear, has been groomed to believe that it's okay for underage girls to be forced to kiss multiple older people. And she didn't even sound like, she sounded in the previous clip like she knew it was wrong. And now she's like, please judge, be nice to Danny Masterson.
in Ashton's letter, he describes his now guilty friend as an extraordinarily honest and intentional human being and a role model. He ends the letter with, "While I'm aware that the judgment has been cast as guilty on 2 counts of by force and the victims have a great desire for justice, I hope that my testament to his character is taken into consideration in sentencing. I do not believe he is an ongoing harm to society, and having his daughter raised without a present father would be a tertiary injustice in and of
What?
itself. Despite
What? Wow, having his daughter raised without a father present would be a tertiary injustice in itself. I'm sorry, 5 women came forward. 3 of the 5 women were part of his religion. This is you can't just sit there and say you believe he's no longer an ongoing harm to society after claiming that you've like been engaged with the FBI and learned about sex trafficking. This is very similar, my friend. You can't.
Despite Ashton and Mila's attempts, the judge sentenced Danny Masterson to 30 years in prison for his crimes. Ashton's statement completely changed everything we thought we knew about him. He dedicated the past 10 years fighting against human trafficking, being a first-hand witness on multiple occasions to arguably the worst type of crime in human existence, and being a part of rescuing these victims and trying to give them a fair chance at life again, only to contradict everything he stands for when his co-star committed the exact crimes he is fighting against. Then to defend his character and say that him being in jail would be an injustice. This one statement destroyed Ashton's credibility forever.
As it should. You can't make a statement like that while you're fighting against trafficking of children about a convicted assaulter like that.
The letters leaked onto the internet. They apologized.
We are aware of the pain that has been caused by the character letters that we wrote on behalf of Danny Masterson.
We support victims. We have done this historically through our work and will continue to do so in the future.
Listen to how scripted, how rehearsed, and how robotic they sound right now.
A couple months ago, Danny's family reached out to us and they asked us to write character letters to represent the person that we knew for 25 years so that the judge could take that into full consideration relative to the sentencing.
The letters were not written to question the legitimacy of the judicial system or the validity of the jury's ruling.
But they were, though. They literally were, though. That's what letters for the defense do in sentencing cases, like sentencing hearings. It's literally I know you found them guilty, but that's literally what it is.
They were intended for the judge to read, and not to undermine the testimony of the victims or
But you did, though.
In any way. We would never want to do that. And we're sorry if that has taken place.
Our heart goes out to every single person who's ever been a victim of sexual assault, sexual abuse.
This robotic and cold apology did not help anyone understand why they sent these letters, and this entire situation makes people regret celebrating Ashton Kutcher for the past 25 years.
As it should. As it should. 'Cause that's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting that they wrote those letters. That they didn't tell Danny Masterson's family to fuck off in light of their work and in light of the conviction that came down. That is absolutely ridiculous. Okay, now Philion's gonna tell us how celebrities are NPCs.
I have a theory that celebrities are not real people. Once you get to a certain level of wealth and fame, you stop relating to the rest of the world, and there's no going back. In reality, you're in it for the money, except you convince yourself that you're more important than you actually are. And your entire existence becomes weird and uncanny to anyone that follows you. Right?
That's exactly right. Like, when people say, where do you want to go with your channel? Do you, like, I don't want to be, like, stupid famous, but, like, I just want to make enough money to help support my family. That's all I want. That's all I want.
Right now, there's a viral video floating around of Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis apologizing for sending letters on behalf of co-star and Scientologist Danny Masterson. For those of you who don't know, Danny Masterson has been a part of an ongoing investigation since 2017 when he was accused of sexual misconduct.
And by the way, for anyone not doing the math, that's a 5-year-long investigation.
3 women, including his girlfriend at the time, accused him of rape at the height of his career between 2001 and 2003. He was convicted on 2 accounts of plying 2 women with drugs and raping them. In March
Jesus. Wow. He drugged them? I didn't know that.
2017, 3 women came forward and accused him. In December of 2017, the 4th woman came forward, and a few weeks later, the 5th. Additionally, singer of Mars Volta alleged Masterson sexually assaulted his wife, Chrissy Carnell Bixler.
Okay, yeah, that's... I really wonder if that's
in
any
August of
relation
2019,
to Denise,
4 of the
actors
5 women
we've
filed a
met.
lawsuit against Danny Masterson and the Church of Scientology.
Oh,
Masterson
wow.
was charged with raping a 23-year-old, a 28-year-old, and a 23-year-old. 3 different counts. On January 21st, 2021, Danny Masterson pled not guilty.
Of course he did. Of course he did. I like I said, I wish I had followed this trial. I really do.
On November 30th, 2022, the jury was considered deadlocked, and the judge ruled a mistrial. Just a
Deadlocked
week
jury?
ago, on September
Seriously?
7th, Danny Masterson was sentenced to an indefinite period of 30 years to life in prison. And apparently, lawyers say they will appeal conviction following a number of evidentiary and constitutional issues.
So the judge had to break the jury's wow.
All of this
the
to say
jury's
that Danny
deadlock.
Masterson is probably going away for a long, long time.
Yeah.
So where does Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis fit into all of this?
They wrote a stupid character letter that makes them look horrible.
Well, considering they grew up together and were co-stars for a very, very popular show, good old Ashton, God, that name is just, it's hard to get off the tongue.
It's also it's also a name that belongs to somebody that most likely you just want to slap in the face.
Ashton and Mila wrote letters of character to the judge overlooking the case. Now, I didn't know this, but apparently that's a thing you can do. Letters of character are written by friends, family, and other associates as a point of reference to talk about a person's character, because perhaps maybe that can sway the judge's opinion, or at least add more context to what type of person they are.
Yeah, like I said, I know you found them guilty, but...
So good old Ashton Kutcher, and Mila Kunis, co-stars of Danny Masterson, back in the late 90s, early 2000s, wrote these letters with the intent of clearing Danny Masterson's name, or at least vouching for him. You know, Danny's such a good person. I consider him a brother. He's like a father figure to our children.
Oh, good. A father figure to your children. I wonder if he's counting the days until they're grown up.
And these letters were sent to Superior Court Judge Charlene Olmedo. Olmedo? I don't know. According to Vox and a bunch of other articles, in their character letters, Kunis and Kutcher describe Masterson as an older brother figure, a father, and a staunchly anti-drug presence, who has only ever been a
NPCs is a
positive
good
influence
description,
in
yep.
their lives. Now, of course, this may be true, but that doesn't excuse all the allegations against him.
No, it really doesn't. These, especially after the, found guilty thing.
This played out as follows. Danny Masterson was officially charged by 3 women in 2020. But because there was a mistrial in 2022, they had to schedule a new trial. During the second trial, 3 main pieces of evidence were brought up that eventually got Danny prosecuted. And interestingly enough, they stem from Danny Masterson and his victims' involvement with Scientology.
Oh, shit. So I guess that brings in the constitutionality issues about freedom of religion and stuff.
I think it's important to note that the victims have since left the Church of Scientology, while Danny Masterson is still considered a high-ranking member, and in some descriptions, untouchable. You see, Scientology is meticulously compartmentalized according to your rank, and they have something called the OSA, or...
Ah, yes, the OSA. That's the Sea Org, right?
The Office of Special Affairs.
Or no, that's the office. Yeah, the Office of Special. No, the Sea Org is something different. The Sea Org is basically the Navy for Scientology.
Previously
Yes, they
named
have a
the
Navy.
Guardian's office. The OSA is quite literally the church's very own intelligence agency.
Oh, God.
They are responsible for recording, controlling, and overseeing almost every operation within the church.
Holy shit, they actually have a fucking CIA for their church. Jesus.
This allows them to handle disputes privately and skirt around almost every constitutional law. For whatever reason, it seems impossible for the US government to bring the hammer down on Scientology. With that being said, the three main pieces of evidence that are pretty damning in my opinion are Scientology OSA reports detailing the accounts of the victims on behalf of Danny Masterson. This means that the victims literally went into the Church of Scientology and told their superiors of what happened, and this is recorded. It's like this checks and balances power system where everyone within the church is expected to snitch on each other, no matter how heinous or simple the misdeed is.
So okay, so now I see so they're hiding under the freedom of religion crap to get away with this. The US can't touch them for recording people because they're using the freedom of religion loophole. And now these reports are being used in an evidentiary matter.
Number two, $400,000 of hush money was sent from Danny Masterson to a victim. Once again, recorded. And this is evidence brought within the court. And this hush money was sent, obviously, under the pretense that the victim would never speak of Danny Masterson and him committing this act on them ever again. Number three, Chrissy Carnell Bixler, who is allegedly one of Danny's victims, posted this with her husband on Instagram. I'm at the vet dealing with another hurt animal. This is what I've been finding in my front and backyard. This is what Scientology does when you speak about the predators they protect.
Oh shit, her poor dogs are being attacked.
That is raw meat, and inside of it is rat poison. So yeah, Scientology will stop at nothing to fuck people over. They have done this in the past, where they kill people's pets. And this was posted on January 21st, 2020. And
that is so horrible. This is fuck Scientology, man. This is Scientology is like the cultiest cult that ever existed. Not wrong, Brandon. This is horrible.
And this is the second time this has happened to their pet, meaning they already lost a dog to this. 74 weeks ago, they commented in response to another commenter, "Our first pet was killed, and this was our second one. She bled out of her nose from her lungs. My kids have not been the same since this happened." At first, Netflix didn't really think much of the allegations and continued to have Danny Masterson perform in movies and shows. In 2017, they changed their mind and dropped him. He was also dropped from United Talent Agency, and the downward spiral began.
It begins. Like, this is horrifying. Like, I knew that Scientology was awful and horrible and went after people that left, but, like, I keep forgetting just how horrible they are.
So after the guilty verdict, everyone started coming after Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis for their letters that they sent on his behalf, vouching for their boy. And I swear it's like a humiliation competition because the bar is just getting set higher and higher for the worst apology videos ever. Apology videos in general don't matter. I'm sorry. They just don't. Nobody needs them. Nobody asks for them. I don't know why they're a thing. If we're being honest, the celebrities don't give a fuck. And me as a viewer, I'm not asking for it.
No, the apology videos for celebrities are literally just for their ego. It's to make themselves feel better.
Also, don't care. I'm not sitting here like morally grandstanding, like thinking as if, you know, I gotta hear a celebrity apologize. I don't think twice about these people. These celebrities should apologize for their actions. That's asking way too much. We already know that. They are reptilian, and every so often the mask slips.
They are reptilian. Oh, Philion. Oh, I love that. I love that so much. And I'm going to pause that right there for a be right back screen at the 1 hour mark. So just let's do this. And we'll do Okay, we are back. So let's go back to this Villion video. Yes, celebrities are NPCs. Yes, I agree. I think that anytime you like meet or become this crazy A-list status celebrity, it's like you evolve or de-evolve, I don't know which one, but you just completely transform.
Nobody benefits from apology videos. It just allows the public to hate the rich and famous more. Shells of human beings, NPCs, and bots. That's
I'm with
who they
you,
are.
Brandon.
We are aware of the pain that has been caused by the character letters that we wrote on behalf of Danny Masterson.
We support victims. We have done this historically through our work and will continue to do so in the future.
What? They sound like robots. You know how on TikTok where it is NPC. Party down, party time, bling bling, popcorn. Oh my. Like,
Beep boop zeep zorp, I am not a robot. I mean, like, I
Thank
guess
you.
Ashton is kinda coming across as semi-genuine, if you're to look at this objectively speaking, without my third eye bias. Mila Kunis, on the other hand, that is pre-selected dialogue. Pick one of 4 options, and you get this.
A couple months ago, Danny's family reached out to us and they asked us to write character letters to represent the person that we knew for 25 years.
like, yeah, Ashton, if you listen to Ashton, he does still sound a little bit human, right? He still has, like, upward and downward inflection in his voice. He still sounds slightly bothered by what's going on. Mila's just like, yes, we are sorry. Oops.
So that the judge could take that into full consideration relative to the sentencing.
The letters were not written to question the legitimacy
She is
of the
stone
judicial
cold.
system
Dude, she comes in like on cue. You can't make this up.
or the validity of the jury's ruling.
They were intended for the judge to read, and not to undermine the testimony of the victims or reach homicides them in any way. We would never want to do that.
Yeah, see, Ashton actually sounds like he's like, oh, fuck. I shouldn't have done that. I just should have just stayed out of it. I should have... Mila's just like, yes, this was a bad thing that we did. We are sorry.
And we're sorry if that has taken place.
Our heart goes out to every single person who's ever been a victim of sexual assault, sexual abuse, or...
I mean, you couldn't get more of a fucking cookie cutter apology video. I don't like... Their PR firm must have been working overtime or
Right?
not enough. Maybe they need a raise.
I can't tell whether they were coached or they coached themselves, but it was bad.
Because what are we doing here? Nothing about that seemed sincere, genuine. Did they even have to apologize? That's the real question. The world would have still moved on. Danny would still go to jail. Sure, they wrote the letters. Oh, he was our boy back in the day. Like, you just make yourself look like an ass. I'm being honest. If you look up to a celebrity and want to hold them accountable, you're lost. You're lost. Ashton asked the judge to consider a lesser sentence for his former co-star, whom he called a role model. He also said that he doesn't believe his friend, quote, is an ongoing harm to society, and argued that it would be a, quote, tertiary injustice for Danny's daughter to be, quote, raised without a present father.
I'm sorry. He got convicted of 2 rapes and 5 women charged him of raping. 5 separate women charged him of raping them. And you're gonna say that he's not an ongoing harm to society? Okay.
Oh, it just gets worse and worse. Just let the legal system do its thing, okay? And then you won't look like an ass defending, I don't know, a rapist. In Mila's letter, she said that she can, quote, wholeheartedly vouch for Danny Masterson's exceptional character and the tremendous positive influence he has had on me and the people around him.
You mean wait, didn't you not like the fact that he had a bet with Ashton about kissing you when you were 14? I'm confused.
Elsewhere, she praised his, quote, dedication to leading a drug-free life and branded the convicted... quote, an outstanding role model and friend. By far my favorite post associated with this entire debacle is from the subreddit There Was an Attempt to try to seem relatable for an apology video. Another PR team told them to sit in front of an innocuous, normal person looking wall, but unfortunately for them, I have also watched their Architectural Digest house tour and know exactly where this was filmed.
Oopsies.
Yeah, it's funny. They're just sitting next to a weather-stained cedar wall. Meanwhile, it's like the entrance to their Garden of Eden. Like, these people are not normal people. The top comment says, everything about this video was extremely over the top and fake. No makeup, no accessories, no hairstyling, 5 o'clock shadow, plain t-shirts. Very practiced, quote, we'll take turns speaking. Concerned expression on their faces, no extravagant scenery in the background, and reading a lawyered script.
Ding! All of those things are correct.
Nothing worse than rich, entitled assholes pretending to be relatable. And that has 14,000 upvotes. And I'll leave you with one little last bit of cringe. Ashton Kutcher's Twitter bio. I build things, stories, companies, collaborations of...
They were responding to a parent's plea and got screwed because of his point of view, but it's a crappy letter. It is. She was sounding coached in her letter. Oh, yeah?
Of thoughts,
I didn't read it.
Dreams, and believe in a future where we all have a right to pursue happiness. Hey, he gives me a phone number. Hello? Can I call Ashton right now? Yo, what's up, bro? There's no shot. Like, it's just all so fake. It's all a facade. These people want you to think they're, like, fucking curing cancer and solving the world. Yeah, Ashton Kutcher has a company called Thorn, and he advocates for, you know, child trafficking. Bro can't even have a normal apology video. What makes you think that, like, I'm gonna take anything he says seriously? I'm sorry, but it's just cringe. Why are all celebrities so weird? Like, it's across the board. Just say you're an actor. That's it. That's respectable enough. You're an actor who made millions of dollars.
Yes. Yes. Just say that. You don't have to be all special. You don't have to do that. You just have to be fucking an actor. So, we've been having some fun up in Canada lately. This happened today. We've got 3 videos about it. So, we have some parents that are not happy with gender identity and, basically sexual orientation being taught, not like, and it's not just being taught, it's being like taught as it relates to literally everything. And your kids are allowed to like change their name at school, pick their pronouns, and their parents don't even know. A lot of kids are being told not to bring their work home so that their parents don't see it. So, yeah, today there was a bunch of protests across Canada by parents and older students about this gender identity and sexual orientation stuff in the curriculum. So, here we go.
Thanks for joining us. We begin with breaking news. Protests and counter-protests across Canada today over gender and sexual diversity education in schools. And already we're seeing several cases where things got heated. This happened near Coquitlam City Hall this morning, where dueling groups showed up. A protester swore at our camera operator before turning and spitting. A few dozen people also gathered at Vancouver City Hall this morning, with a bigger event planned downtown this afternoon.
And by the way, the counter-protesters are like lefty parents and teachers unions. In Ontario, the teachers union was actually planning a counter protest against the parents. I don't understand why, Brandon. I as somebody who is very much bisexual, has trans friends. I don't think that this needs to be brought up to kids. Let kids be kids. They need to learn about, you know, math and reading and writing and socialization and emotional intelligence. And then when they get a little bit older into high school and have, you know, go through puberty and start understand, like, then they can learn about hormones and attraction, and like then maybe start talking about sexual orientation. But you don't have to, like, not everybody is trans. Trans is it's supposed to be a very, like, rare thing. So it shouldn't be, it shouldn't be, like, taught everywhere. It's getting bad, but the parents here are saying, like, no, this is not okay.
A group called the 1 Million March for Children is behind today's protest. It says schools are exposing children to inappropriate content about sexuality and gender identity.
They are.
In many cases, counter-protests outnumber the original group. This happened near Nanaimo City Hall this morning. Police tackled a protester after he ran away. He was then handcuffed and taken into custody. It's not clear why police went after the man, but he had been getting in the face of counter-protesters several minutes earlier.
See, the thing is that right now the protest groups are small because they're being lumped in with the Freedom Convoy crazy people. But the more that we talk about it and normalize that it's okay to be upset by this, the more normal people and not crazy, you know, anti-vax, anti-all this shit people are going to be taking up the cry.
Political leaders in BC are condemning the protests. In a statement issued today, Vancouver Mayor Ken Sim described the demonstration as rooted in ignorance and bigotry, adding the city stands with the LGBTQ2S+ community.
What's an LGBTQS+? Why do we all have to, why fuck intersectionality? Seriously. Why does intersectionality have to exist?
Similar statements were released by Premier David Eby, BC's Human Rights Commissioner, and the BC Teachers Federation. Protests and counter-protests are also taking off across the country. Here's
what?
The scene out. Protests and counter-protests are also taking off across.
I wanted to hear that chant. It sounded stupid, and I wanted to hear the whole word.
Here's the scene outside of Halifax City Hall this morning before competing protesters marched to the provincial legislature. Hundreds of people were involved, and there was a heavy police presence. About 100 people showed up at...
Right. Exactly, Brandon. We need to start, like, when puberty happens, say, why can't we do it the way we used to do it in schools? Where you didn't learn sex ed until grade 5 and 6. And then you started by learning about puberty. Right? You didn't learn about actual sex until, like, grade 9. And then you learned about STDs and how to put on a condom and all that shit. Right? You didn't start with, you know, gender identity and all this stuff.
At a park in Moncton, New Brunswick. And in Toronto, more than 1,000 people marched outside the legislature.
About sexuality. I don't think a 5-year-old and 6-year-old should learn this kind of stuff.
I believe that teaching about gender identity and sexual orientation as part of a broader curriculum is important.
Of course,
the Prime Minister is adding his voice to the conversation, posting on social media, "We strongly condemn this hate and its manifestations."
Yes, he also came up with a new term, biphobia. This is the first time I've ever seen that written down, and he wrote down biphobia. Oh my God, shut up, Justin. So let's see what this video has to say. This is another 2-minute news clip, I
Across
believe.
Canada today, protests and counter-protests. And to say that the emotions were running high was a bit of an understatement. The issue was whether there is a place for lessons on sexual orientation and gender identity in our schools. And with one very committed group facing off against another, there was very little room for any kind of real debate.
It's a protest. You don't have debates at a protest. You protest at a protest.
Here's Matt Gilmore.
For several hours, the two sides stood off against one another, chanting slogans across a police line.
You didn't learn sex ed until grade 9, yeah.
1 million
or 9,
March
yeah.
for Children, made up of mostly religious Muslims, protesting.
Wait.
On one side, a group calling themselves 1 Million March for Children, made up of mostly religious Muslims, protesting.
Holy shit! Holy shit! Oh my god! Are we seeing the turning of the backs of the liberal media on the Muslim community because they don't like this shit? Holy fuck! Holy fuck! Are we witnessing in real time the actual moment that the lefties in Canada turn against the Muslim community?
Protesting sexual orientation and gender identity being taught in schools.
Don't teach them in school any bad ways. You have your lifestyle. I accept it. I respect it. You have to respect and accept our lifestyle too.
On the other side, counter-protesters standing up to what they can.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Transphobic hate speech.
That's a very good point.
Hospital.
Why so many people are all right with this instead of against it? That is the problem.
To find their true selves, to be free to be themselves. That's what protection is. Not to tell them to be something that they're not.
There were large numbers on both sides.
This is the first time there's so many anti-trans protesters in one location.
They're not anti-trans, dude. They're anti, making your kids think, oh my god, maybe I'm trans because I feel really shitty today.
In the province of Quebec entirely. This is beyond scary for many of us.
A moment of violence at the beginning set a tense tone for the rest of the morning. Some tried debate.
This is an inclusive thing, you know? Forget about inclusive. They want their way. They don't want your way.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong. They don't want it your way. They want it their way. They can't meet in the middle.
Some parents are scared that their kids are being influenced at school, whereas this document, what they're actually protesting, what their whole organization is protesting, is literally just trying to show educators how to be as supportive as possible. How can people protesting an inclusivity guide not be kind of hateful?
No. It's not how to support. It's how can we talk about this without including your parents? How can we make you think that this is what's happening in your brain without actually talking to any professionals or anybody else?
In their own way, you know.
This is one of a number of counter-protests that happened across the country. Matt Gilmore, CTV News.
So that's another thing, and then we'll see one more.
Down over LGBTQ2S+ rights. Police,
oh my
including
God.
officers mounted on horses, keeping the two sides separated along Wellington
Mounties!
Street. Good evening. Thousands of people rallied in cities right across Canada today to protest and counter-protest.
It all centered around whether schools should teach gender ideology and how teachers should refer to transgendered youth.
There shouldn't be transgendered youth. There should be transgender. I'm sorry, if you're under 16, because that's the age of medical consent in Canada. When you're 16, your parents are no longer legally, medically responsible for you. Okay? So I'm going to say 16 and over. Fine. Okay? Anything under that? No. No fucking talk of transgender youth. None of that shit. They can wait. if they're still having dysmorphia after 16 and, you know, they've done all the counseling and all this stuff and they still wish to do the hormones and the surgery and all that, okay, that's a different conversation. But before that, fuck no.
Here's a look at the crowd on Parliament Hill earlier today. Police have not provided an estimate on how many people gathered in the area, but hundreds of people were in attendance for both the protest.
You don't support a child by giving them information they don't know how to deal with at that age. Exactly. Exactly. This is analogous to 5-year-old loses goldfish, parent goes, well, life's a bitch, and then you die. Yeah. Yeah. Pretty much.
The counter-protest. CTV's Natalie Van Roy was reporting on the protest all day and joins us live in studio. Natalie?
Program. This all started as a march that organizers called the 1 Million March for Children, with demonstrators opposed to teaching LGBTQ2S+ issues in schools. Quickly, a counter-protest also formed and gained...
Oh, quickly. Yeah, quickly, as if it was happening just today and not like it was pre-planned as soon as everybody found out about this march.
Action in the downtown core. Ottawa police say 2 people have been arrested for inciting hatred at the 1 Million March for Children protest, and a 3rd person was arrested for causing a disturbance.
How did they incite
Two groups
hatred?
of people with very different messages. A protest and counter-protest at Parliament Hill Wednesday.
You know what's really bothering me is that the message of this protest is leave the kids alone, and there are people counter-protesting that message. That's what's really bothering me.
Trans rights are human rights. You know, in Ottawa and Canada and around the world, like, we can't be passive anymore for people that are promoting hate.
Police separating both sides, each group in the hundreds, yelling and chanting at each other from across Wellington Street. It started with a group organizers call the 1 Million March for Children, a demonstration opposed to teaching LGBTQ2S+ issues in schools.
Trying to change the system. They're trying to introduce things that go against the grain. And it's time for Canadians to basically take back our institutions.
Some also protesting gender-neutral washrooms and children changing their pronouns in schools.
Yes! Because they're children. This is not something that they need to be worrying about.
Kids shouldn't be allowed to change their genders without their parents knowing and change their pronouns. It's really concerning what's happening in the school board.
We have a policy that supports the rights of trans students. Trans students have autonomy. They have the ability to decide when it is the best for them to come out.
But they're kids.
Counter-protesters waved pride.
That's the thing about this, guys. You're acting like kids are adults and they have the brain capacity to have autonomy. They don't.
Flags and held signs that said protect trans kids, while others held signs with slogans that included leave the kids alone.
Throughout the counter-protest and protest, there was a significant police presence with officers keeping both sides separate. Support coming in from Toronto police as well as other neighboring jurisdictions.
Toronto sent police? Wait, Toronto sent police to fucking Ottawa? Seriously?
Shut down Wellington Street for hours, causing traffic disruptions. Officers on horses standing by. The demonstrations remained largely peaceful, but 3 people were arrested as both sides made sure their voices were heard.
It's really important for trans kids and kids in the queer community to be seen and recognized. And I'm a teacher, I work in classrooms. I want to know that someone's rooting for them.
She sounds like that Stephanie chick from Family Guy. Oh my god, I really want to represent and make sure that the trans kids are alright.
We don't like these things to be discussed in the school for our kids.
The march comes on the heels of months of cultural battles in the U.S. and Canada, particularly involving
Cultural battles. Really? How about call it what it is? Call it the fuck what it is. The sexualization of our children. Yeah, you're probably not wrong there, cannibalistic wizard. Yup. permits, yep. No child has autonomy. Exactly. You don't have autonomy as a child because you're a child.
People and gender-affirming care for minors.
Now, federal politicians have noted a rising tide of hatred against the LGBTQ2S+ community and transgender people.
No. There is a rising tide of frustration against the willingness to want our children involved in this discussion. There is a very small minority of people that hate like trans and lesbian and gay people. And you know what? If this shit keeps going on, that group's gonna get bigger. So how about we fucking stop it?
In Ottawa, hate-motivated crimes rose more than 23% in the first half of this year, with Jewish people and the LGBTQ2S+ people being the most targeted, according to Ottawa Police. Patricia.
All right, CTV's Natalie Van Roy live for us tonight. Thank you.
Oh my God. Okay. So, with that being said, I'm going to show you something really, really funny. And also really, really hopeful. This is question period. It has resumed. And today, in the House of Commons, it got loud and it got very, very emotional. And I'm gonna show you something that I don't think I've ever seen happen with an English-speaking, like primarily English-speaking politician. Okay? We're gonna start off with Pierre Poilievre because he's the leader of the opposition, and he is going to start off in French. But I want you guys to see what happens after he finishes speaking in French.
Question orale, oral questions. L'honorable chef de l'opposition.
The honorable leader of the opposition.
I hate all movements too, Brandon. I don't join movements. I don't even join like accessibility movements because I find them to just eat themselves from within.
After 8 years, this prime minister has said that these are difficult times for politicians. He said at his conference on inflation in Charlottetown at the cabinet retreat that inflation has gone back down. But yesterday we found out that inflation is going back up. And in fact, the finance minister declared victory in the fight against inflation. But since that declaration of victory, inflation has risen by 43%.
Yeah, it has. Our inflation is now at 4.4%.
Which forced the Bank of Canada to raise interest rates for Canadians who are the most in debt of any G7 citizens. Will the government finally bring down taxes and inflationary deficits so that we can bring down interest rates before we have a housing crisis and mortgage crisis?
Now, okay. That's the end of the question in French, right? Check this out.
The Honorable Innovation Minister.
Sorry. This is where's the ovation?
Down. It's all well and good to be excited, and I'm happy that everyone's excited, but we are now giving the floor to the Honorable Minister. Go ahead.
Oh, the speaker. The speaker had to interrupt because they were clapping too much.
Minister.
And they're still going. They won't stop. This is from French speech.
Allez-y.
This is that was from him saying what he had to say in French, okay? That never happens. Never, ever, ever. You never get an ovation like that from a non-block. Like, not even in the block would you get an ovation like that. But for the leader of the opposition to get that much support from something he says in French you know that that's not just the people that are primarily French speakers that are clapping.
That would think that Canadians to be happy with the person leading them during question period. They're starting to understand that
Wait,
summer.
What did he say?
Allez-y.
I thank colleagues on both sides of this House for their enthusiasm. Now, Mr. Speaker, this summer we listened to Canadians. We met with them and we heard them. They told us 3 things, Mr. Speaker. First, they asked us to help them with the cost of groceries.
And you didn't. You lied, said it was an extra grocery rebate, and then was like, oh, no, sorry, that's just your GST.
Second, they said help us with housing. And the third thing that Canadians want, they did not tell us stop helping families, stop helping the vulnerable. They did not say that. That's not what they want. Mr. Speaker, Canadians who are tuning in, they know that this party will always be there for them, but they're starting to understand that the Conservative leader is not there for them and he's too risky for Canada.
Ha! Ha ha! Ha! Really? That's what they're starting to understand about the leader of the opposition? Are you sure? Are you sure? Are you absolutely sure about that? Because I really don't think that's what Canadians are saying. I've been watching, like, in the comments on TikTok and in replies on Twitter and everything. This is not, and they're not from like user 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are people with actual like accounts and shit, and they're not happy with what the current government is doing.
The Honourable Opposition Leader. Wow. The Liberals, for the first time, seem to be happy with the person leading them during question period.
Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh shit!
I congratulate the member for his new role.
Holy shit! Oh, holy fuck! Oh my god! Oh, Polyev! Oh, Mr. Go! Hi, Mr. Goat Man! Oh, fuck! Fuck! Holy shit! Shots fired!
Another guy from Shawinigan might become Prime Minister. And I understand. Even the Liberals want to sack the Prime Minister.
Oh my god! This is amazing! Holy shit!
The Prime Minister costs too much and he's not worth the cost. He's just not worth it. The Honourable Innovation Minister. Mr. Speaker, the Conservative leader likes his big speeches, but Canadians told us very clearly that they need our government to help them. That's why we're here for them. We're helping with grocery costs, Mr. Speaker. We also called in major grocery heads this week. We are...
Yeah, and stabilizing food prices, I think that just means making sure they don't go up anymore. I don't think that means bringing them back down again.
We're going to bring down GST for housing. We're going to take action to help
GST
Canadians,
for
Mr. Speaker.
building housing.
Canadians are tired of hearing the Conservative leader's slogans. He takes too many risks. He's too risky and dangerous for Canada, but we are there for Canadians, and we always will be, Mr. Speaker. The Opposition Leader.
Speaker, at his recent retreat in Charlottetown, the Prime Minister said that life is really tough for politicians. Today he's off for another trip to New York for 3 days to give a couple of speeches and burn a whole lot of fuel. At the same time as he raises carbon taxes on Canadians for the crime of driving to work and feeding their families.
Yeah, because freaking it now costs Pincalo over, I think it's like $120 to fill the van every day for his job. It's crazy. I want to sack the Prime Minister and I don't even live there. Right?
Yesterday, inflation was up and way up. It is accelerating. It is higher than in the States and in Japan, which could drive up interest rates. Will he balance the budget and axe the tax to bring inflation and interest rates down?
No, of course not. Of course he won't, because that would mean doing something good.
The Honourable Minister of Energy.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Really? The Honorable Minister of Energy? The Prime Minister can't even talk?
Order. 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 There we go. Shh. Okay, I realize it's Wednesday and everybody's excited and the emotions are running high, but we have to get through question period. Let's see if we can just calm down and hear the questions and the answers.
And why don't you go and stick something, how about the big black rod up your behind, sir? How about that? I think, Pincalo and I were talking about this earlier. I do not think the Speaker of the House should be a member of any party. And this is why. This guy's a liberal.
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
No politician is honorable.
Affordability is, of course, the top priority for this government. It is very clear that it is a huge concern on the minds of many, many, many Canadians. It is certainly, it has caused us to look at programs such as removing the GST from the construction of new rental units, provide money.
Yeah, the construction of new rental units, not the rent on the actual units themselves, the construction of the rental units. So a tax break for developers and construction companies. So a tax break for more corporations.
Money for home efficiency, the grocery rebate, and a range of other things. But I would say, Mr. Speaker, that it's also important that while we are addressing affordability, we do so in a manner that actually will allow us to also address the climate crisis. It is an existential threat to the future of our children. Shame on them for having no climate plan. On this side of the House, we can walk and chew.
Shame on them for not having a climate plan? Really? I think they do.
The future of our children. Shame on them for having no climate plan. On this side of the House, we can walk and chew gum at the same time. We can do both.
What does that have to do? Shame on them for not having a climate plan, but we can walk and chew gum at the same time. Huh? Huh? The fuck does that mean?
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Well, they're prepared to thunderously applaud anyone other than their own leader who stands up in the House of Commons. No wonder the Prime Minister says it's a really hard time to be a politician. And, you know, right now, speaking of hard times, he's off in New York for another 3 days, burning a lot of jet fuel while he applies a carbon tax that he wants to quadruple to 61 cents a liter on farmers, single parents, on struggling working class families who have to choose between eating and heating. Will the Prime Minister park the plane, end the high carbon hypocrisy, and axe the tax?
No.
The President of the Treasury Board.
The President of the Treasury Board? The President of the Treasury Board. What the fuck? Wow. 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 Why?
Unlike the Conservatives, our government actually has a plan to support Canadians during this time.
Why are they throwing all of the nobody ministers under the fucking bus right now? Where are all the higher up people?
We have, for example, the grocery rebate helping 11 million Canadians, Mr. Speaker. 4.2 million Canadians with the workers' benefit. Over 6 million Canadians with indexing old age security. Mr. Speaker, what is their plan? That's right. They don't have one.
I love how Polyev just said axe the tax, and they don't have one. Well, actually they do. They literally do, and they just told you. Oh my god. Oh my god. This is what I'm talking about. Even the people in the Liberal government are getting pissed off with Trudeau and his nonsense and the way that he's because when he was talking yesterday, Pinkala was telling me there were people in the Liberal side of the House that they were just stone-faced. And they just did not look happy with what he was saying. And it's getting bad for him, and this is not going to end well, and I don't think he's going to make it to 2025 when the actual election is supposed to be. I think we're going to see a vote of no confidence fairly soon. So that's my hope, honestly, because we really need him gone. And it usually takes 3 election cycles to get rid of a prime minister. So this should be the one. So, but the shitty part is that my throat is gone to crap. So I'm going to have to end it here, but tomorrow's a double gaming day. So, I will be back. I found a more fun character than Ashra. I've been messing around with Natara, and I'm having a lot of fun with her. So we'll probably take her online and see what we can do. So be sure to come by for that. I hope you guys enjoyed the stream tonight. I'll see you guys both tomorrow at noon and at 9. And I've also posted a short video on